Hello and welcome to the Passion Driven Pioneers interview series. I'm your host, John Channon, and today I'm joined by Marc Sieber, who is the owner of Wow One Day Painting. Marc, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, you bet, John. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, would you like to kick us off with a brief background as to who you are, what you do, and then the business that you're in?
Like John had mentioned, my name is Marc Sieber. My wife and I are the owners of Wow One Day Painting franchise. We're located in the Northeast Twin Cities metro suburbs of Minnesota, and this will be our fifth year coming up. We just renewed. So yeah, we live in Forest Lake, Minnesota, and we have our basically our whole life. And gosh, I'm 13 years old, so yeah, I don't know what else you wanted me to say other than that. So
All right, cool. So, what was the spark that led you to want to buy a Wow One Day Painting franchise?
uh, it's an interesting question because like if you would have told me 5 years ago that I was going to own a painting franchise, I would have laughed at you. But uh, buying a franchise is a little different, where you have a lot of different options and they have systems in place to help you figure out things as you go along. So the track of that, we worked with a coach, if you will, similar to yourself, I would imagine, in some ways that kind of steered us in what our goals were and what we were looking for in a business, and then presented several options to us. We met with all of those options, and you kind of narrow it down through the funnel, and then we landed with Wow One Day Painting, which is part of O2E Brands. And went to Vancouver for a discovery day, and we were just really impressed with the people that we're involved with. And goodness, here we are, 5 years later, developing in a wallet franchise. But we looked at several others before we landed on this particular business venture.
Well, maybe just comment for our audience. So, you used a franchise consultant.
Sure.
And tell us a little bit about what that process is like working with a franchise consultant.
I don't know if I'm allowed to mention the company that I worked with, but it was called the Entrepreneur Source. And what I liked about how they did things is they weren't trying to sell us really anything. They told us right off the bat that if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. So we never really felt pushed in any direction. They more, when we came back and reported what we felt, they would ask us questions that we didn't realize that we needed to ask them, and go over the franchise documents and explore different things. For example, like in this particular franchise, the average job size was X, but in another franchise, the average project size was much smaller. So it seemed like it was more of a grind, if you will. And I'm like, gosh, that just seems like it's a lot more work. So that was one of the things that we kind of went through and kind of worked out together, is like, how many projects do you need to put together to make the revenue that you want to make? And that was one of the things that they helped us steer through and steer on. And yeah, that was a good part of that process. And the entire process probably took, I want to say, by the time we met with them and by the time we actually signed the documents, it was like 6 or 8 months uh,
Hmm.
of what that journey looked like, if that helps. But it was certainly a journey throughout the whole thing.
Okay, good.
It
Well,
was kind of exciting too. It was kind of fun to explore different options and see what you can and can't, what you like, what you don't like. When initially I didn't even want, I poo-pooed while like, I don't want to look at that, I don't want to own a painting business. Like I said, um, and here we are.
here we are. Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate you taking the time to share that with the audience because I know a lot of folks aren't aware that there are franchise consultants out there who will work with you on helping you figure out which business is a good fit for what your longer term goals and
Yeah.
strategies are.
Yep. Yep.
So let's talk about starting up a franchise. What were some of the things that the franchisee brought to the table? And then what were some of the things that you needed to focus your efforts on to get this up and get this going?
Well, that's another great question. I love I when my wife Jill and I were looking into buying or getting into a business, we did want to focus on a franchise, because what you do is you kind of buy a business in a box. Like I mentioned before, they have all sorts of systems in place. It's typically a proven system. There's probably other people that are involved with it. I think currently WoW is close to 65 franchises in all of North America. So that was one of the things that we wanted to focus on, is buying a franchise simply because like it's a proven system, and it's basically just saying, hey, do it this way and you're more than likely going to be successful. And they have all of the marketing materials, they have a path for how you can be successful. Put your money here, put your time here, put your time and money here. This is how you want to focus on employees. Be weary of this. You have a franchise family within the system that you can lean on with for questions and answers and camaraderie and fellowship. So there's a lot of different things that come along with a franchise that I think it certainly comes with a price tag too, because you have to usually buy into a franchise. And then you have to pay a royalty on top of that of what you're making, but comes with brand recognition that, like I said, the system behind it that helps you rather than just starting your business on your own and trying to navigate just something as like Google, trying to navigate your Google spend and your marketing and stuff all on your own without some help. That's why we wanted to get into a franchise, if that answers your question.
Sure, sure. So talk a little bit about what was the work-life balance like at the beginning of getting your franchise up and running? And has it changed now? Is it a little bit different?
It is a little bit different. It's certainly
Good.
a lot different. I mean, you and I have a history, and you saw me in our some of our meetings prior to when we were just starting up. But I always say it's like having a new business or just a business in general is like having a baby baboon that is always hungry, is always making a mess, and every time you turn around, it has broken something. So, so it's getting that up and off of the ground is a little bit of a challenge because in the very beginning, it's difficult to have a work-life balance unless you really stride for that. And one of the things that I was really struggle with early on is trying to be perfect, trying to be the best in the system, trying to do this and that. And it took me probably 2 3 years before we got our first non 5 star review on Google, and it was actually very healthy for me because it actually broke that seal of not being perfect all the time. And it was so to get back to the work life balance, it was striving for that perfection and making sure that it was okay. And I do remember early on, one Friday afternoon, my wife is down in the yard where she's floating in the pool, and I'm like fiddling on my phone, and she goes, "Mark, what are you doing?" And I go, "I just feel like I should be doing something. I should be like, just sit down and have a beer. It's fine. Everything's under control. Like the guys are fine. The job's going to complete, and it's Friday afternoon. And I'm like, that was a really good bell ringer for me, for my wife. She's, bless her heart, is to like it. Don't worry about it so much. This is why we bought the business. This is why we did this. So you don't have to worry about that. And she's right in so many levels. So it was great.
Oh, good. I appreciate you sharing that story. So, going to change the topic a little bit and talk about, what are some of the things that you guys are doing to stay innovative in the space that you're in?
Well, I mentioned the franchise and some of the systems that come along with that. They actually are really good at understanding and kind of keeping a pulse on what's going on in our industries, and certainly they have their own challenges too, as everybody business does. But they're pretty good about what initiatives we're putting forward and what they're seeing in the marketplace, particularly in like where marketing spend is effective and where it's not effective.
Hmm.
Just because when you have a franchise, you have the ability of national scale. And when granted, certain regions are going to perform differently, but when you have a franchise, you can lean on that data from area to area and really see what's working and see what's not working. So marketing is one of those things that really that helps with that. But like constantly evolving, you have to keep your head on a swivel and see, you know, what is your seasonality like? What jobs are profitable? Why do we take so long with this particular project? Why did we wrap this one up so quickly? So a lot of different things. Why isn't the zip code doing better than this zip code when this zip code should be doing better? That you really have to look at. But to stay innovative, again, with the franchise system, you have a field advisor that you can sit and you can talk to, you can cry to, you can yell at, you can, laugh with. Where if you are in your own business, you're in without a franchise system. My thought is, and I could be wrong in this because I'm not there, but you're somewhat on an island. You don't have anyone to lean on when it comes to that. And if that answers that.
Yeah, so it sounds like some of those benefits are really the fact that the franchise itself has got multiple locations and they're tracking data and they're able to see some of these trends in terms of here's where you should be spending
Yeah.
marketing dollars. Maybe here's where if you're spending in this area, you might want to reconsider, right?
Yeah, and we have the advantage of we have an additional franchise in the southwest side of Minneapolis here, Mike, our colleague. So we have an ability to pool some resources sometimes. Last year we hired a PR firm to get us on CCO and do a couple of things. So we were able to pool that money together, which is great because you can have rather than spending that full amount up front by yourself, you have someone that you can lean on. But not only that, like what is Gary doing in San Jose? What is Sean doing in Calgary? What is Cyan doing in Miami? So there's a lot of people that you can, and I can call any one of those people and say, hey, I saw your post here. What are you doing different over here? And everyone within the system will take the time of day to talk to you. It's like a big family. So yes,
That's great. So you're not out there on your own.
yeah. You're what do they say? You're in business for yourself, but not by yourself.
Yeah, no, that sounds
Yeah,
good. That's a good one.
yeah.
That's great. So, how about maybe just offering us a little glimpse into some of the future plans and goals that you have for your business?
Well, I was hoping that we were further along than we are now. But with with COVID and some of the things that come after that, and the situation where we're at now, the economy isn't that great. But I see myself with a salesperson or two underneath me. I have an administrator that we've hired. She actually lives in the Philippines. That just actually pinged me while we were talking here on my screen. But she's been great. She's been a great addition to our team. I'd like to get another group of painters so we can have more capacity throughout. And I really want to be that painter of choice in the Twin Cities by just kind of like wowing people all over and making sure that we're living up to our brand and whatnot. But ideally, Jill and I, of course, everybody wants to travel more. Everybody wants to get out more and do things and enjoy life a little bit more, and that will come. But it's still kind of in the middle of that. It's still a daily grind. It's still get up, put your pants on, and get to work. And if it's not getting done, no one's going to do it for you. So
Yeah, Mark, longer term, are you thinking of maybe having like a general manager come in and
yeah,
do some
that's
of the
another great
day-to-day
question.
operations a little bit more so?
Yes, I mean, ideally, we hire that person that is invested, buys into our system. Wow Franchise actually has a great system too called Partner to or Pat to Partner. So we call our painters Pats, professional, attitude, and trustworthy. So Pat to Partner and maybe helping someone within our own system get to that point of ownership. But if that doesn't happen, someone that we meet or someone that we hire, then you might be able to offer an equity stake if they really prove their salt and show that they want to work with you and for you, offer them an equity stake, and then eventually have them run the business while you step back a little bit and enjoy, the fruits of the labor and have them run the rest of it. But we're a ways off from that yet. But that's ideally yes.
Okay. So a little ways off down the future. So
Yep.
continue to grow the business, add another team. Uh, Tell us about your experience with a virtual assistant. Not many people are using those, but talk to us a little bit about you said
Well,
you
I
were
mentioned
building
Mike,
and
the franchise in the Southwest cities. We had tried an experiment last year where we tried to share one. We had hired a young lady from Minnesota here. She was great. Don't get me wrong, but the different businesses was really a struggle for her to manage the way that I ran my business and Mike the way that he ran his business. So we ended up eventually losing her altogether, which is fine. In hindsight, there was a blessing. And then we have another franchise partner in North Carolina who turned us on to the idea of a virtual assistant. And it's worth the conversation. And then they did all of the back work. They did all like the company we hired was called Inside Out. And there was an upfront fee, but you tell them exactly who are you looking for and the parameters that they're looking, of this job description. And then from what I understand, talking to the gentleman, and forgive me, I forget his name, but like for every job that's out there, there's 2,000 applicants for it. So an immense pool of talent over there. And her name is Ree or Raylin Ree, we call her. But she's been a blessing so much for our business and our growth. She's great with the social game, way smarter than I am when it comes to that. I asked her to, hey, why don't you put a post for some grad parties? We should get some business before grad parties. 15 minutes later, there's a post on the Facegrams and Insta chats about getting your stuff together for some great graphic that she's made. So that experience has been great, but now she's getting into our payroll side of things, correcting hours. I mean, she's always asking for more and more to do, and she's got a lot of great ideas. And she's totally has that buy-in, and you'd never know that she's across the planet, working the night shift. So it's been working out very, very well so far. But that process was really kind of cool, and the cost is considerably less than what it would be stateside for someone of the same talents. But from what I understand, what we're paying her over there is a substantial good wage for them, and I just think that's amazing. I think it's a win-win really for everybody. So
Good. I appreciate you taking the time to talk through that because not too many people mention virtual assistants yet. A lot of people are using them in their businesses to support their
yeah,
business.
so my two hangups there was not necessarily the education level and the smarts. I mean, let's face it, if you're going to be stereotyped, it's that you're smart, right? So one of my challenges, I thought there was going to be somewhat of a language barrier, being from the Philippines. And then I was always worried about maybe what their infrastructure looked like for a standard internet connection. And we've only had a couple of glitches, and it was typhoon season, so I'll give her, some grace there. But for the most part, you wouldn't notice. I'm anything with the inflection or accent that she speaks in impeccable English. I'm actually having a lot of fun teaching her some slang that you can speak English, but in any language there's slang that you don't necessarily know in phrases. So that's fun, the banter that we've been having back and forth too. So it's fun.
Especially Minnesota slang.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. I
That's
agree.
great.
I agree.
So, Mark, knowing that this show is going to be targeted towards people who are going to be in their first few years of business, do you have any final thoughts or words of advice you'd like to share with our audience today?
Yeah. The first few years of business. First of all, if you're going to start a business, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it who hasn't done it. Surround yourself with people, like-minded business owners, and probably the easiest way to do that is to get involved with chamber group with an S, chamber groups, multiple chamber of commerces, different networking groups, church groups, whatever it is. High-minded people that aren't going to tell you you can't do it. They're going to tell you how and give you ideas on what you can change to help you with that. So, I mean, John's a good example of that. But like surround yourself with the people that are going to help you and not tell you that you can't do it. Relatives can be negative at times. Unbelievers, you just gotta believe in yourself and believe that you can do it. And then just know that in business, when you get up and going, this is going to sound very cliche, but every time you turn around, someone wants $1,000 from you. So whether that's some sponsoring sports team, whether your van breaks down and you need new tires, whether that's an insurance payment that you need to make, or some tax payment, every time you turn around, someone wants $1,000 from you. So just keep that in mind too. So
That's great. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time today, Mark.
no, you bet. It's been fun. Thank you so much, John.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you taking the time to join us. And to everyone watching, I look forward to seeing you in our next episode.